My name's Idris Watts, and I am the founder of Quranic Circle and the developer of the course connecting to the Quran. And I think we'll start off with sort of the structure of like what the reason for the course and the structure of the course. Um, First and foremost, the course is around Quranic Arabic, and what I mean by that, when I say Quranic Arabic, the aim of the course is to be able to understand the Quran. So when we open the Quran, we are able to actually understand what we are engaging with when we read it. And when I say understand it, I don't just mean that we are able to translate it in a simple fashion, but rather we're able to appreciate what the language of the Arabic contains when we're reading it. And I'll be giving you an example of that in this presentation, inshallah. A very simple example of that, of how much is lost in the translation and how much we can actually draw from the Quranic language, so that we can really connect to the miraculous and beautiful nature of the Quran. And that's the reason that we're studying the Arabic language on this course. It's not a course that's designed to learn how to speak. It's not a course that is designed in order for you to able to even necessarily, definitely not write. There's no written element in Arabic. So even if you can't write Arabic, that shouldn't perturb you from taking the course. The one prerequisite for the course is that you can read the script. You know, as many of us in the community, we learn how to read the script when we were young, but we're not able to actually understand it. And when I say read it, I don't mean read it in terms of, tajweed. That's not a requirement of the course, and I won't be teaching that. What all it require is a recognition of the script. So I won't ask you to read it in Arabic. I won't even ask you to write it. Simply that you recognize it, and thus you're able to translate it. And once we're translating it, then we're looking at what the language what the meanings are held, what meanings are held in that word, or in the structure of the sentence, that enables us to really appreciate this beauty and magnitude of this language, like to some degree getting a sense of what it must have been like for the early generation to hear this revelation. So the aim is to try to be able to to some degree be able to be with the Sahaba, the companions, and get a sense of what they were hearing and how it was, what was the sense of that when they were receiving the revelation from the vehicle, from the means of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So that's really important, because this is a part-time course. It's not a full-time course. And what I noticed, I studied Arabic full-time. I did a degree in Arabic language. And when I started teaching Arabic, I realized that part-time students, they need to have a focus, because it's very, very difficult for people studying Arabic part-time to be able to effectively learn the four skills. And what I mean by the four skills is the skill of listening, the skill of reading, the skill of speaking, and the skill of writing. Those four skills, which we call that we have two output skills and two input skills. So the input skills is listening and reading, you're receiving, they're coming in. And the output skills are speaking and writing. And in order for you to have strong output skills, you need to have strong input skills. You need a foundation from which you can actually then be able to articulate and express yourself, either written form or spoken form. And I realized that for part-timers, it's very, very difficult for them to be able to achieve that. So and I saw many people go through Arabic courses, even my early Arabic courses, and they really weren't able to achieve their goal, which was to be able to read and speak and listen and write, etc., etc. So I realized that I needed to have a course that has a focus, and fundamentally, oh, sorry, their side up. I'll just, yeah, excellent. So fundamentally, the Arabic language is a vehicle in order to achieve something. And it's really important that we realize that it's a means to something, the Arabic language. And that's fundamentally, for most Muslims, the primary goal is to understand the Arabic language so that I can understand the Quran, and that I can understand what I'm actually reciting in prayer as well, so that I feel a greater connection to Allah and greater connection to the actions, these acts of worship, these rituals that I engage with on a daily, daily. So I started to basically refine my Arabic teaching until I got it down to focusing purely on the Quran. And because of that, we were able to, within 1 year, the students had the skills whereby they were actually able to engage with the Quran. So that's the goal of the course. The goal of the course is in 1 year, you have fundamentally the major skills in order to understand the Quran. And that's basically, after a year, what students have achieved, so that they can pick up the Quran. Not that they necessarily can understand everything, of course not. That's a life journey, and even I am in that journey after 22 years of studying Arabic language. I'll just put 1 second. I'll just put you on mute. So that's the goal, is that when I pick up the Quran, I can start engaging with it. So I can start to translate it, and not only just to translate it, but appreciate what the words mean on a deeper level, but also the structure, why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has structured something in a specific way. So that's the goal of the course, and I think it's really important that people understand that when they start the course. Alongside that, it's then, how can I provide as many tools and as much support as I can for a student to be able to achieve that goal within 1 year? And if not in 1 year, then at least they're able to continue it after the year. And that's why I devised this system whereby we have an online portal with videos, and I am now going to show you just how that is structured. So I'm hoping you can all see this. So we have a online portal here whereby we have all the resources available to you, whether you're an online student or whether you are studying on the ground in Lancashire or Yorkshire. That's Bradford, Leeds, Manchester, and Blackburn. Is that you have all these resources available for you to go over the material. And so an online student, look at this as a lesson 1, which is divided into 2 weeks. So these are the first videos for the week 1. These are the videos for week 2. That you can go through these videos, and then we have a revision lesson in the week on Friday. That's from 6 to 7 on Fridays, where we meet up. So online is get a live element as well. So they would just go through the videos, and the people on the ground would attend the lesson. But if they miss the lesson, they can go through these videos, and they can even listen to these videos to reinforce it. And then they have a revision lesson live with me through Zoom. And they attend that to reinforce what we've studied. And when I actually teach, when I'm teaching, I'm not just teaching what to study, I'm teaching how to study as well. So I'm providing many techniques and tools in order for you to understand the rules and the lesson better, but also how to retain it as well. And then what we have on a Sunday from 6 to 7, we have another, this is a new feature that I've added for this year. We actually adopted it because of the COVID situation. People were missing out on the ground lessons. So we had a meetup as well as a revision session where people could just voice, that's a very free lesson, an open session where people can ask questions, get some extra guidance. So that feature is available for both people on the ground and online. That we have an online revision class on Friday, and we have a online meetup on Sundays from 6 to 7, and that's all through the media or through Zoom. So what we're basically having a week is people go through these videos or they attend the class live on the ground, and then they have the revision lesson, and if they miss that, it's put up so they can access it. And then we have the meetup as well, which will be put up there as well. And then the next week, we have the next lesson, which recaps what we've done before, and then adds some more material. And then we have another revision lesson, another meetup, and then there's all these other resources available, like extra documentation, like documents for you to go through just to reinforce those as well. As well as that, we have a vocabulary app. So through the week, here's lesson 1's vocabulary. You have this as an app on your phone. Is that you go through these exercises to reinforce the vocabulary. And one of the benefits of this course is the vocabulary is limited to the vocabulary that shows up around 80% of the time in the Quran. So when I'm teaching your vocabulary, I make sure that the vocabulary is something that regularly appears in the Quran so that you're seeing it on a regular basis. Because vocabulary can't really be retained except through exposure. It's not through memorizing lists. It's rather through seeing it regularly. And by doing that, we actually retain it without having to effort as much. So in order to support you with vocabulary retention, you're seeing it regularly throughout the lessons. And you're also seeing, you've got the vocabulary app to reinforce it through many variegated different exercises to suit learners, each individual learner, and makes it engaging as well. So, and then what we're doing, the grammar points that I actually introduce, they are I simplify the grammar to the utmost I can, and it's about a little bit bite size of grammar, and then lots of reinforcement. So you're through, it's basically an explanation of a bit of grammar, and then lots of reinforcement through different exercises. And those exercises, I'm just gonna, so this is the folder you get a hard copy of the folder as part of the course. And what you'll see is, if I can, is you've got a grammar rule and then lots of reinforcement of exercises. And you'll see that if you reach out to me, I can send you a PDF of the first 2 lessons. And I've got myself, actually, I really advise you do this if you're interested in the course. If you go onto my YouTube channel, Idris Watts, it should come up, and go to the playlists. I've got one playlist that's me teaching. It's basically all these first 2 lessons, the first lesson, which is broken up into 2. So the first chapter broke up into 2 lessons. So all these videos are actually on that YouTube playlist. So you can go through that with the PDF to get an idea of the structure of the course. So as you see, there's a lot of support there. And what's also great about it is that if you're an on the ground learner, if you miss a lesson, if it's within your capacity, you can actually attend one of the other lessons. So if you, for example, study in Blackburn, but you can't make that lesson, you've got the opportunity to come to Manchester or Leeds or Bradford in the week, because Blackburn's on Saturdays 11 to 1, Leeds is on Sundays 11 to 1, and then Manchester is Tuesdays 7:15 to 9:15, and then Bradford is Wednesdays 7:15 to 9:15. So if you miss your lesson, you can actually go and attend one of the other ones. You know, theoretically, you can actually attend all of them if you wanted to, depending on space and availability. Also, not just that, if you fall behind in the year, which is actually quite common for people to do because they've got their other preoccupations in their life and responsibilities and duties. If you do fall behind, then all you have to do is you pay a £25 access fee at the end of the year. And that £25 access fee gives you another year's access to all the material. Not only just the material on this site here, but also it gives you access to the live sessions again, the live meetups. So for online learners, it's as if by paying that £25 access fee that you're doing the course every year, just for an extra £25 each year. So I hope it becomes clear to you that you can't really drop out of this course or lose out, because you've got all the resources available to you in order to, in terms of time and in terms of the content, to achieve your goal. So that's the way I've set up this course, so that people get their best value for money, but also they have as much opportunity to access, get the support that they need. And I also provide WhatsApp access for the students, so they can personally WhatsApp me with their questions if they need to, or email me. And in terms of commitment, if you're to commit to the course, beyond the 2 hours, or if you're an online student, you'll see, like, for example, hour and a half maybe, looking at the videos and attempting them, and the revision class, and then the meetup as well. There's no more commitment really needed. So we're looking at 3 to 4 hours commitment a week if you want to keep up with the material. If you can't keep up with the material, then you just go at your own pace, and you can just go through the videos when you have the time. And so in that way, you have as much support as possible, and you can reach out to me via WhatsApp or email whenever you need to. Even years later, I don't, I don't turn people away if they need to reach out to me and they want to go over the material later. And every so often, they're reaching out to me with questions. Depending on availability, I get back to them. So if you have any questions about concerns about the course or questions about the course, you're most welcome to reach out. But one thing I really want to look at as well is, like, can I do this? Is this possible for me? And the funny thing is that I have a lot of students who have no exposure to Arabic apart from being able to read the Arabic script, who have achieved the most from the course, even more than people who have done Arabic before in other courses. So you don't need to have had exposure to Arabic before. Sometimes if you've done Arabic before in different courses, it's actually, some people will struggle because they take it easy in the first few months of the course. And then what happens is when they start learning stuff and have to put more effort in, they haven't developed the habits at the beginning of the course. And so suddenly they have to start applying a lot more effort, and some people struggle with that. And so it's people who haven't had an exposure before, they don't have that, they're not in that situation, and they have to apply themselves at the beginning, and so they're already in a routine. So people shouldn't really worry about that either. The other thing is, one thing I do say about Arabic language is the importance of motivation. And when I say motivation, it's really important we understand why we are studying Arabic. Because if you don't have a strong motivation, then what happens is a few months into it, you start to lose motivation. And so a really tangible goal is important. It could be something like, you know, my children are now at the madrasa, and I want to be able to impart, you know, understanding to them about the Quran, and I don't have that. That's a real tangible intention, because you're living that every day in your life, because you're seeing your children go to the madrasa and come back, and you want to be able to help them. So that is a strong practical motivation. Another motivation for people may be, you know, I've got a lot of confusion in my life around my religion, and I really want to understand the work of the Book of Allah to get clarity about this. Again, if someone really has this pressing need on them to understand because of that situation, then that's another highly motivating reason in order to commit to this course. And so I often talk about it's really important to have a tangible motivation. The example I usually give for myself is about where learning to drive. I never wanted to learn to drive, but then when I got married, I realized how important it was for me to be able to drive. And so it was now something in my life daily that I realized the importance of it. And I committed to those lessons, even though it took me 60 or 70 lessons, and I passed, I think, on my 5th exam. I wasn't willing to give up because I realized that this was something important in my life. And so that's what, you know, when we're approaching Arabic, it's really important for many people that they have a real pressing motivation for them, why they want to learn this. And so at the beginning of the course, I go over with students, what is your motivation for this? And not just, you know, you can say, oh, I just want to understand the Book of Allah so I can feel more connected to Him. That's a fair intention. But is it a lived one, like whereby you feel this real desperate need? This is something like this is a non-negotiable in my life. I need this. That's a real motivation. That's a real intention. So, yeah. So what I've explained the structure of the course. And here's the portal, and basically what you do is once you sign up for the course, you get access to this portal on your mobile phones or on your phone or on your mobile phones or on your computer, your PC, or on your any other technical device you have. That's what you have, and then you have a hard copy of the folder, and then you also have the vocabulary app. They're the things that you need, nothing more. Even in terms of dictionary, you'll see that there is a PDF of a dictionary here that you can download off the course, and that's all you will need. And in terms of vocabulary, it's all at the back of the folder anyway. Now, any questions? I'm just going to give you an example now, and you can see this example. I'll go into deeper detail about this on the playlist on my YouTube channel. So I will send a link of that, inshallah, near the end, where I am going through these. But I'll just give you a simple example. So let's take, for example, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. So how do people usually? So you can type in the chat bar here. Oh, where's my new notice? How do people usually translate Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim? So you're most welcome to type in your answer if you wish to answer. Now, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim obviously is usually translated as in the name of God, the most merciful, the most kind. And what I really want to focus on upon today here is the impossibility to translate these two terms, or these two words, Ar-Rahman and Rahim. Because the English translation, the most merciful, the most kind, really doesn't convey what's meant by this. First of all, and this is a big focus of the course, is the 3-letter roots of Arabic language. So Rahman and Rahim both come from a root. Let me just see the chat bar. Second. Yeah, excellent. So in the name of, yeah, good. So let me just put that there. So they both come from as most of you are probably aware, most Arabic words go back to three-letter roots. So Rahman and Rahim, you'll notice they both got Ra, Ha, Mim in them. Ra, Ha, Mim. Some of you may ask, well, what about Noon? What about the Alif? Through the course, you'll get a greater grasp of that, how to identify what the root letters are. Later in the course, you gain an intuitive ability to be able to pick those out. But the Ra, Ha, Mim, the root meaning, all the words that stem from this, and there are many, many words that stem from this root, three-letter root, are about surrounding something, and something providing for something, and nurturing it. And one of the most common words that come from this root is rahim, which is the womb of the mother, because it provides, it surrounds. And so both of these words come from that. And what's so fascinating about this, in the name of God, and even the preposition, this word, the ba, which usually translates as in English, but it actually means connected by. So through the connection of the name of God, the most merciful, the most kind, and then it's left blank. What is that? Like, is it I write in the name of Allah, the most merciful, the most kind? All creation comes into being through the name of Allah, the most merciful, most kind, and so forth. There's some ellipsis there. There's something missing, and so the Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim leaves that open to what the possibilities of that could, what it could relate to. But Rahman ar-Rahim, why are these two specific names mentioned? The reason they're mentioned is because of the created, like all created being comes through these, just like the child comes through the womb. All creation comes from this support of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and his mercy and compassion. But what's the difference between them? That's what I really want to focus on here. So Ar-Rahman is on what we call a pattern, fa'lan. And Rahim is on a pattern which we call fa'il. Now, this will be new to you. And through the course, we gain a greater understanding of what this means. So when I say template, I'm talking like, like acetate. I don't know if any of you are old enough, those projectors where you put acetate. So if you have a word, you put acetate over the other, or tracing paper over the top of something. So if you look at fa'lan, you'll see that Rahman, it rhymes. It's on the same template. And Rahim, fa'il, is on the same template there, if you see. Now, there's many words that go on this form, fa'lan. We have, for example, ghadban, which means to be angry. And the ghadban, this form fa'lan, any word that's on this form, fa'lan, excuse me, the meaning of it is that it's a demonstrative quality, i.e. you see it apparent. So Rahman fundamentally means evident mercy and compassion. And when we say compassion and mercy, what we mean here is that it's providing, it's kind, it's compassionate, it's there for you. And it's demonstrative and clear. It's been demonstrated. So, for example, if I were to say to you, this man is an artist, if it was on this pattern, it would mean that the person's actually demonstrating his ability as an artist. When I mention he's an artist, you see him actually performing or carrying out his art, his painting. Whilst the form fa'il, Rahim, means an embodied quality that isn't necessarily apparent, but that person or thing holds that quality, whether they demonstrate it or not. So someone may walk down the street and I say to you, that man is an artist. And he's not painting, he's not demonstrating his art at that point. but you see, he carries that ability in him. At any point, he can demonstrate it, which is really fascinating with Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, because we're saying when the creation came into being, it was demonstrated. The Rahmaniyah of Allah is that you see it before your very eyes manifest this compassion, this bringing forth of this gift. And then after that settles, after the creative process comes in, like if we look at the mother, for example, like we're talking about the womb, is that when she's giving birth, she's in a form of demonstrating that she's giving birth. But afterwards, she's still a mother. Whether she's with her child or not with her child, her state is that she's a mother. And so whether we see Allah's mercy manifest or we don't see it manifest, it's there. Whether we feel that Allah's demonstrating it or not, his underlying mercy and compassion is there. So these two words, Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, convey these two meanings. It being demonstrated, and then after it's demonstrated, it's still underlining, it's still there. Not dormant, but hidden. So, or it could be subtly there, whether we're aware of it or not. So that's the meaning of Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. Now, how do you translate that? That's not possible. So when people translate it, I just say, just put basic translations in there. Merciful, compassionate, whatever you want. So my translation, your translation of it is not that important to me, as long as I know that you understand structure. What I really want to see as we go through the course is that you're able to pick up on these subtleties of the language. And so when I'm teaching, that is one of the main focuses of the course, is to really impart that appreciation of the Quran to you, so that when you're going through the course, yes, we're studying Arabic, and yes, we want to understand the Quran as best to our ability, but we're also gaining these spiritual and inspirational insights, so that you want to turn up to the lessons or you want to watch the videos regardless of where you're at, because even those people have had exposure to Arabic before, and initially they may feel like, I know this stuff. These sorts of things, as we go through with each word and each sentence structure, everyone, regardless of their level, they're starting to pick up things that they were probably unaware of before. And so by the end of the course, you have a much more deeper understanding and appreciation of the Arabic language and of the Quran itself. So that's really fundamentally the purpose of the course and the goal of the course, and what I want people to achieve from the course. And you always see at the end of a lesson, we have an appreciation of the Quran. Like this rule, we've practiced it, we've reinforced it, we've grasped it, and we're able to translate it. But what does that mean in terms of when we engage with the Quran? And how does that make us, how does this grammar rule bring about an appreciation, a deep endearment and wonder of the Quran when we're reading it? So at the end of every lesson, we've got like a short video about that. And you actually can watch those. I've actually put those up on my YouTube channel for each lesson. Okie dokie. So I've told you now about what's the purpose behind this studying the Quranic Arabic, what my methodology is and philosophy is about the course, how the focus of the course is not just what we're studying, but how to study. So I impart many psychological and practical tools in order for you to really develop how to learn. Because I feel many people they don't really have strong skills in how to study. Either they've been out of education for a long time, or even their learning skills they learned from school that were very poor. So that's a very strong focus in the course as well. And then I've just explained to you how we really are trying to draw out an appreciation of the Quran through this example I've given here. And I've obviously given you a structure of the course. Are there any more questions that you may have? So I'll just bring up the chat bar. Where's that chat bar gone? One common question that people have, this is the Memrise app, so you have that on your phones. One common question they have about the payments. So some people, they can't commit to a one full-time payment. And so there are, there are options available for people that they can split their payments. But if they do split their payments, they can't obviously do it through the website. They would have to reach out to me, and then they just need to set up a standing order with me, and they have to promise to commit to those payments regardless of what happens throughout the year. That's one thing. So you can split payments. There is that option available to people. I don't know where that chat bar's gone. So if there's no more questions, you can enroll for the course by going to www.quraniccircle.com. I think there's a course there. The one thing I will say is, because of the current situation, I'm hoping to run everything on the ground as well as online, but it may be due to, in the first few months, that I would have to run it on the online, and then once things settle down, the restrictions settle, because it's, yes, I know venues are open now, but many of the locations, they are requiring these 2-meter distances between people, and so it makes it difficult for us to actually do it in a normal classroom. And so once they start relaxing those rules, then we can come on, go study the classes on the ground. So it may be for maybe September, October. I don't know. Hopefully, no longer than that. The first month or two might be online, and then we move it onto the ground for the students that have enrolled on the ground. The worst case scenario is that everything will be moved online. I'm hoping that doesn't have to happen, but people need to be conscious, aware of that. Okay. Okay. Yep. Ahmed. So I'm seeing the questions now. I don't know. So Sheikh, when does the early bird offer end? Yeah, good. So it's £400 at the moment. September the 1st, it goes up to 450. And the reason for that is on September the 1st is I make a bulk order for the folders, so I get them cheaper. So after that, it costs me more to actually order the folders individually. You don't need to be able to type in Arabic. Ahmed, I don't know if I've answered that, what you specifically mean by that. You can unmute yourself if you want to clarify more what you mean.
Jazakallah khairan, Sheikh.
No
Alhamdulillah,
problem.
it's Mubarak. I'm looking forward to signing up for this. I was thinking I'm good at, I can type in, I know typing skills. So I've always wanted to learn the keyboarding. That's what I
Right.
meant
Okay.
in Arabic. I don't know. I never was able to find any research on that.
Yeah. I mean, you don't need it for the course, but I think you're just asking as a general question, aren't you?
A general question, yes.
Yeah. The way I mean, type. Do you mean just in Word documents typing and things like that?
Yeah, being able to just type, just like we type, in English, the keyboarding skills.
Yeah, I learned through trial and error. Lots of mistakes.
Subhanallah.
So, like for example,
Inshallah.
my keyboard doesn't have any Arabic letters on it, but I've just got so familiar with where they are that I
MashaAllah.
can type them. But it was a very long and frustrating process.
Oh, mashallah. I remember a long time ago I came across stickers where you can put the
Yeah,
stickers on top
yeah,
of
yeah.
the keyboard.
There's
I
ones
think
you
I
can
need to
actually.
find that.
Yeah, there's a there's, I think you got these like sort of plastic frames you can even put over them.
Alhamdulillah.
Yeah, I learned the hard way.
Jazakallah khair.
No
Thank you.
problem, Ahmed. Allah bless you. Yeah, so I'll just bring up again if there's any more questions. Yep, if there's no more questions, we can sign off for today.